Have you ever noticed how people often act strangely around those who exude quiet confidence? We're not talking about the shy individuals who wish they could speak up, but rather the calm, composed individuals who confidently choose when to speak and how much to share. Research suggests that people tend to spend more time crafting stories about quiet individuals than truly attempting to understand them. These silent figures, especially Sigma males, often become like blank slates where others project their own fears, insecurities, and misconceptions. This phenomenon can be observed in offices, social settings, and even during family gatherings. There's always someone quietly observing, saying little, and suddenly, everyone feels the urge to play amateur psychologist. The theories start to swirl. He must be antisocial. He probably thinks he's superior to everyone else. There's definitely something wrong with him. The ironic part is that while others are busy fabricating intricate theories to explain their silence, these quiet individuals, particularly Sigma males, are simply living life on their terms, unfazed by the noise and chaos around them. In this post, we'll dive into 7 of the most wild and inaccurate assumptions people make about the silent nature of Sigma males. Some of these may sound familiar whether you've heard them, made them yourself, or had them projected onto you. No matter where you stand, the truth behind these assumptions might just surprise you. Number 1. They're trying to be different. The human brain has a strange way of dealing with things it doesn't understand. It creates stories to explain them. When people encounter someone who naturally walks a different path, they often assume it must be an act. After all, who would choose to be different in a world that rewards fitting in? This assumption comes from a deep psychological need to believe everyone secretly wants to be part of the crowd. When confronted with a Sigma male who genuinely prefers his own way, many people's brains short-circuit. They convince themselves it must be an attention-seeking strategy or a carefully crafted persona. What these observers miss is that being different takes more energy than fitting in. If someone were just trying to stand out, they'd choose easier ways: loud opinions, flashy behavior, obvious rebellion. The Sigma male's quiet divergence from social norms actually draws more criticism than praise. Look at how people react to someone who naturally goes their own way. They'll say things like, "He's just doing it to be unique," or "He's trying too hard to be mysterious." These comments reveal more about their own need to conform than about the person they're judging. The truth is, some people are simply built differently. It's not an act or a choice, it's their natural state of being. And often, the ones most suspicious of this authenticity are those who've never allowed themselves to be truly genuine. Because sometimes, being yourself is the most radical act of all, even when you're not trying to be radical at all. Number 2. They're cold and emotionless. People often mistake inner control for a lack of emotion. If someone doesn't openly show their feelings, others might assume they don't have any. For Sigma males, this might be the most misunderstood aspect of their nature. Think about deep water. From the surface, it looks calm and still, but beneath that stillness lies an entire world of activity and life. The same goes for Sigma males. Their composed exterior often masks a rich inner emotional world that few get to see. Recent studies on emotional intelligence reveal that people who appear the most controlled often experience emotions just as intensely as others. They just process them differently. Instead of immediate reactions, they tend to observe, analyze, and understand their feelings before expressing them. The mistake people make is expecting emotions to look a certain way. They want big gestures, dramatic displays, constant verbal affirmation. When they don't get these performances, they jump to conclusions about coldness or emotional unavailability. But here's what's really happening. Sigma males often feel things deeply, but they're selective about how and with whom they share these feelings. Not every emotion needs an audience, and not every feeling requires external validation. The real sign is how they show up when it truly matters, when real support is needed, when genuine connection is required. These supposedly cold individuals often demonstrate the most meaningful and reliable forms of emotional presence because true emotional depth isn't about constant display. It's about authentic expression when it truly counts. Number 3. They think they're better than others. It's a strange leap of logic. Someone keeps to themselves, observes more than they speak, and suddenly, people assume they're sitting on some invisible throne of superiority. This might be the most common and most misguided assumption about silent Sigma males. You see it happen every day in offices, at social events, and even in casual group settings. A Sigma male's natural state of calm observation gets misread as looking down on others. His selective engagement is seen as cherry-picking who's worthy of his attention. His comfortable silence is interpreted as silent judgment. Here's what's really happening. According to social psychology, when someone feels comfortable enough to be quiet in social situations, others often see it as judgment. It's usually their own insecurities creating this story, not reality. In fact, studies show that people who are truly judgmental tend to be more vocal about it, not less. The quiet ones are usually too busy being comfortable with themselves to waste energy judging others. The reality is that most Sigma males don't waste energy ranking themselves against others. Their quietness isn't about feeling superior, it's about being comfortable enough with themselves that they don't need constant social validation. It's like someone who enjoys deep diving versus someone who loves surfing. Neither is better, they just operate at different depths. But somehow, a Sigma's preference for depth gets twisted into supposed arrogance. The irony is that this assumption often says more about the people making it than about the Sigma male himself. Because sometimes, the most judgmental people are the ones who can't understand someone being different without it being superior. Number 4, they're hiding something. People love a good mystery, but sometimes they create one where none exists. When someone isn't an open book, others often assume the pages must be filled with dark secrets. This reaction to Sigma males' natural privacy reveals something interesting about human nature. When everyone is oversharing, keeping things private almost feels suspicious. A Sigma's choice to keep some aspects of his life private often gets blown out of proportion into wild theories about what he must be hiding. The more private someone is, the more others tend to create dramatic explanations for that privacy. It's like our brains can't accept that some people simply prefer to keep their lives to themselves. The reality is much simpler. Sigma males aren't hiding deep secrets or running from dark pasts. They just understand something that many people have forgotten. Not everything needs to be shared, discussed, or put on display. Privacy isn't about secrecy, it's about boundaries. Look at it this way: having curtains on your windows doesn't mean you're hiding something in your house. You just understand that some things are for your eyes only. For Sigma males, this same principle applies to their thoughts, feelings, and experiences. But in a world where everyone's expected to share their daily lives, this natural desire for privacy often gets misinterpreted. The truth is, sometimes the people who share the least actually have the most inner peace. They just don't feel the need to prove it to anyone. Number 5, something is wrong with them. It's amazing how quickly people jump to conclusions when someone doesn't fit the normal mold of constant chatter and social performance. Others often assume they must be broken in some way, like a quiet engine must have problems just because it's not making noise today. Feeling comfortable with silence somehow gets labeled as a problem that needs fixing. Family members stage interventions, friends offer unwanted advice, coworkers suggest therapy, all because someone processes life differently than the noisy majority. The human mind plays interesting tricks. When we see someone operating differently than we expect, we often assume something must have damaged them. Bad childhood, past trauma, depression, these labels get thrown around carelessly just because someone chooses peace over chaos. Here's what's really going on. Sigma males often have a clearer understanding of themselves than those trying to fix them. They've found their balance, their way of moving through the world. Just because it looks different from the outside doesn't mean something's wrong on the inside. Think about a cat versus a dog. A cat's independence doesn't mean it's broken, it's just being a cat. Similarly, a Sigma male's self-contained nature isn't a malfunction. It's a feature, not a bug. The real issue is that people often mistake different for damaged. But sometimes, the healthiest thing you can be is exactly who you are, even if others don't understand it. Number 6. They must be socially awkward. Here's one of the biggest mix-ups people make, assuming that someone who chooses when to engage must not know how to engage at all. It's like thinking a person who doesn't eat at every restaurant must not know how to eat. If you pay attention to a Sigma male in different situations, you'll notice something pretty interesting. Put him in a business meeting where ideas matter, and he will speak with perfect clarity. Place him in a situation that requires leadership, and he will step up without hesitation. Give him a reason to engage that aligns with his values, and suddenly that socially awkward person becomes surprisingly articulate. The truth about social skills is more nuanced than most people think. Real social ability isn't about talking the most or being the life of every party. It's about knowing how to communicate effectively when it matters. Sigma males often excel at this kind of targeted social engagement. Think of it like a professional athlete who doesn't play pickup games. They're not incapable of playing, they're just selective about when and how they use their energy. Similarly, Sigma males often have strong social skills. They just deploy them strategically rather than constantly. This selective engagement often gets misread as awkwardness by those who believe being social means being on all the time. But there's nothing wrong with choosing your moments. In fact, it often shows a deeper understanding of social dynamics than those who feel compelled to fill every silence. Number 7. They can't be that smart. It's one of the oddest assumptions out there, the idea that someone's quietness somehow reflects their intelligence, as if smart people must constantly prove their intellect by talking over others. Meanwhile, those who listen and observe must be lacking in brain power. This misconception usually plays out in group settings when the loud ones are throwing out quick answers and dominating discussions. The quiet observer gets written off as slow or uninformed. Some even take pride in outsmarting the silent one, not realizing they're often being studied rather than stumped. Modern workplaces make this assumption even worse. In a world of open offices and constant brainstorming, those who process information internally often get labeled as less capable than their more vocal counterparts. The person thinking deeply about a problem gets overlooked in favor of those thinking out loud. But smart people know something others often miss: intelligence shows in results, not in running commentary. While others are busy proving how smart they are, Sigma males are usually quietly solving problems, developing strategies, or seeing angles others miss. Here's the interesting part. The most effective problem solvers often process information quietly before speaking. They're not stuck or slow, they're thorough. They're not struggling to keep up, they're thinking several steps ahead. The truth is, real intelligence doesn't need a spotlight. Sometimes, the smartest person in the room is the one who doesn't feel the need to prove it, because true capability shows in actions, not announcements. If you found this video insightful or relatable, why not join our growing community? Subscribe to the channel for more content exploring the mindsets, traits, and behaviors of Sigma males. Your engagement helps us dive deeper into these unique perspectives. Be sure to like this video if it resonated with you, share it with someone who might appreciate it, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. Thank you for taking the time to watch. Remember, as a Sigma male or someone inspired by their path, staying true to yourself is the ultimate strength. Keep evolving, stay strong, and we'll see you in the next video.